from the Utah Jazz to the Memphis Grizzlies as part of an 8-player trade centered around Jaren Jackson, all-star forward for the Memphis Grizzlies. The NBA trade deadline is Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's 70 degrees at 2 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farrah and Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farrah doesn't flinch. Now, Lauren Brooks, Taylor Dahl, and Tom McManus. This is
Helmets and Heels.
Helmets and Heels on 1010XL.
Normally it's air guitar or air drums.
I told you I'm one of the best air instrumentalists out there. I don't know why. It's just this gift I have.
Did you ever take piano growing up? Either of you?
Oh,
no. I wish I did though. I did. I didn't think it was cool enough. I was playing sports. I remember a friend of mine. They're like, I got to go to piano. I'm like, piano practice? What? I'm playing basketball. What are you talking about? Go to piano practice. I wish I did. I wish I learned how to play the guitar or the piano. Because that comes in handy later in life.
They're valuable things to have in life.
Big time.
Yeah,
Big
my
time.
mom did put me in piano lessons, but they somehow, some way were scheduled for 9 p.m. We had a keyboard in the house. I was asleep at 9 p.m. every day.
This is not ideal.
I was in, to your point, Tom, I was in multiple sports. And back then I would have been playing soccer and swimming and playing volleyball and basketball and all the things that happened throughout the school year and studying. And so, my bedtime was 9 o'clock. So the piano teacher would come and I'd be asleep.
Missed it.
So those lessons ended rather quickly.
Yeah, for me, I have doll hands, we call it, and we have like very short, fat fingers. My entire family does, so that's not very good for piano playing.
No.
So that didn't work. I did try guitar for a while, but my fingers hurt playing guitar because I started with acoustic, and acoustic really does. Yeah. I mean, you have like calluses all over your fingers. So I really did try for a while, but it was just not for me. But I've shared it on here. I was in chorus from my whole life, and then a theory major in the beginning, a music theory major in the beginning of college. So I can read music, but I read vocal music and not instrumental music.
Yeah, I can't read any of that stuff. I wouldn't even know what I'm looking at.
The only way I've ever looked at it is like in church in the hymnal books.
Yeah.
You have to just read, to your point, the vocal music. But learning guitar, my parents gave me a cheap guitar for Christmas one year. And I remember practicing for several days. And I was like, Mom, listen to this. And she was like, keep practicing.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
And that's when I realized, that's when I learned like just how impressive musicians are. And I don't mean like the Jimi Hendrixes of the world. Obviously, he's the greatest guitarist who ever lived. I mean, if you go to a restaurant and someone's playing acoustic guitar, that's so hard to do.
Yeah. It's a great talent to have. It's a great way to bring people together too.
Yeah.
Which gets me to thinking, I always feel like, the composer of the marching band, do they really do anything?
They do.
Do they really? Because I can barely tell the difference in what they're whipping those things around.
You have the same thing. It's keeping you on beat a lot of times, and like their hands will be doing different things for different instruments. And for different instruments in chorus, it was for different, like if you were alto or soprano or whatever, you'd watch one hand, they'd watch the other. Okay. So it really did. It'd keep you. There's a lot of things that they're helping you with, even through just vocals, let alone for instruments. I'm sure it's even
taking
more.
us inside, Taylor Dahl. I love it. I would never have known that. I'm always looking like they're not even, especially in high school.
All they're doing is
it's a certain movement too, so it looks probably when you're just glancing at it like everyone is doing the same thing, but it's not. Even that, like the hand movement, depending on what the song is and the beat is and all of that, it will be different from time to time. So sometimes just by the way the conductor will start it, what song you're about to play just by his hand moving in it. So there's a lot of little inside information for you there.
That's cool.
I love intricacies when it comes to music. We all love music.
Get your kids, if you listen, get them into some kind of music, man. It'll be great for them. Really great for them.
And I think it helps with confidence too.
All of it, yeah.
Yeah, but
big time.
We talk about sports being the togetherness and team camaraderie, team building, all those things. There's also something to that with music. Like you have to, everything that you do is also dependent on what others are doing around you. Now I feel like we need to go to like the orchestra. And you definitely have to practice
to get better in all aspects.
Think of especially the horn section and how much breath control they have to have. That part is
even
insane.
getting a horn to make some of those horns to even make a noise, like the saxophone, for example, even just to get it to make the noise you want it to make is hard enough. And then you're learning about the breath control. That is in rock and roll. Band camp, we've heard about band camp before.
Rhymes.
Breath Control. We all know the Bandcamp movie, but yeah, and the Breath Control with that, but then also, I mean, then you also have to figure out all the notes and reading music and all of that. So it is a lot, but I do think that when you, to your point, Lauren, when you're talking about just becoming a family and you do trust each other so much because you have to, especially like one person's not playing the right note or one person's not singing the right note, it could throw everything off. And so it's like that in football and every sport you play. We talk about from the moment the ball snapped, all the things that have to go right for that play to go right. And it's similar. Yeah. It's similar
team
like
sports
that in music.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Today is National Girls and Women in Sports Day. So I just wanted to give Taylor and I a shout out.
Shout out to us.
Way to go.
I mean, I think it's important to note that 1010XL, I think, was kind of ahead of the curve when it comes to having women involved in sports talk radio. Mm-hmm. I know growing up, if I had known that this was a job, I would have pursued this as a job from the time I was little.
Yeah.
But growing up listening to sports talk radio in Jacksonville, there were no female voices on it whatsoever. And so the first time I heard a female voice on 1010XL, as most people know, it was Jessica Blaylock. And it would have been like 2011, somewhere in that ballpark, 2010, 11. And it was earth-shattering to me. And so I used to turn my car radio down, and right after she would do her updates, and then I would try and recreate her updates as my own self driving to my corporate job that had nothing to do with sports. And so I just wanted to say, shout out to 1010XL and the Jaguars too, for first starting Helmets and Heels, obviously, in August of 2014, and being companies that believe in women in sports and empower women in sports too.
Yeah, and I think that here everybody has their different path, and I always tell people that too when I talk to them. When I'll meet women out and they're like, how did you start this? I'm like, my path is very different than my path is very different than somebody like a Blaylock, you know. And I think, and even we both had kind of different trajectories to get here, but it's been a blessing in the sense of having somewhere to come and me learn all of the aspects of radio, and in the midst of that, trusting me to do updates in the beginning and then fill in on shows and then now eventually co-host a show. And so it's cool to kind of just learn all of the ins and outs of it, and through that you network and you meet all these wonderful women that are in the industry and hear how many different ways they all got to where they were going. One of my favorite, I talk about her a lot, Taylor McGregor. She's the Cubs reporter, but also does college football, and she's fantastic. And she's some of the people, like one of the sweetest people in the entire world. And I saw some posts on her today and her path of how she got into the industry, and it's just so much different than mine. But it's cool to hear how everybody kind of has their own story, and we get a place to kind of start that here, and it's really fun. So shout out to Steve Griffin and the Jags, because they gave us the opportunity to have a voice when not many places do.
Well, since we're doing shout outs, I'll throw a shout out to you two, because I get asked all the time, what's it like, you know, being with the two ladies? And I say, well, you know what? They do their homework. You guys are always prepared. You always know your stuff. You know exactly what you're talking about. You can tell that you study. Listen, it takes a lot of work. It's not just showing up and, you know, trying to be cute and trying to be funny or trying to be whatever. You gotta really know what you're talking about, and you guys do, and you can tell by your delivery, and it's a lot of fun. You know, so, you know, I think they picked the right guy for the job to handle you two women.
That's right.
You know, I have these conversations at home every single night. Different content, but same kind of tone and stuff. But no, you guys, you do your homework, and that's and anybody that's ever hosted a show, they just want their co-host to like do their part. You know what I mean? You want it, you just got to do your part. You got to, you know, study, you got to watch, you got to pay attention, you got to write things down, whatever. You got to work on your delivery, you got to work on things. We just expect you to do your part, and then have fun while you do it, you know, and mix and match and all that. So happy National Women's Sports Day.
Thank you,
for you ladies.
Thank you, Tommy.
Way to go.
We appreciate it.
Good
And
job.
we appreciate that you put up with us, as does RJ Saunders as well.
RJ does a great job. He's getting those songs down pat.
Yes, for
That's right.
sure. All right, I guess we'll shift gears and talk to Phil Simms. I suppose we should chat a little Super Bowl with a two-time Super Bowl winning quarterback and Super Bowl MVP. Played his entire career with the New York Giants. I feel like that's happening fewer and fewer these days too. Is a guy getting to play for one team throughout his entire career. So we will chat with Phil Simms, talk some football on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
All you do is yell at each other. You're not friends.
No, we're family. Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser. The Drill. Mornings on 1010XL. Helmets and Heels. Provided by Green Law Group.
Tired of wrestling with your shower curtain like it's a fight for the last slice of pizza? Ditch the drama and say hello to a smooth, stylish glass shower enclosure from Baker Glass. Wago Glass is clean, elegant, and makes your bathroom look huge and brighter. Give your shower a makeover and feel like you're in a spa without the price tag. I'm Mac at Baker Glass. Call me and get ready to love your new shower. Let's make your shower great again. Remember, Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
Get in the paint with Patrick Young as he and Dan and Jeff break down Florida Gators basketball. It's the smartest Gator Insight every Thursday morning at 8:15. Tipped off by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists on 1010XL.
Finding the perfect romantic gift she'll treasure forever? It's easier than you think at Beard's Diamonds this Valentine's Day. We've curated a stunning selection of timeless, affordable jewelry she'll absolutely love. Dazzling rings, sparkling earrings, elegant pendants and bracelets, set with brilliant diamonds or colorful gemstones. Classic gold that never goes out of style. And you can't beat the wow factor of top brand designer jewelry. At Beard's, we've got it all under one roof. And right now, we're cranking up the romance with an unbeatable limited time offer. Save up to 40% on all diamond stud earrings, pendants, and tennis bracelets. Imagine her face lighting up when she opens that signature Beards box on February 14th. Pure magic that lasts a lifetime. Guys, cards, flowers, and candy are sweet, but nothing says I love you forever like a sparkling gift she'll wear and cherish every single day. And that gift is on major sale right now. Plus, Beards is your local Jacksonville jeweler, family owned and community strong for over 45 years. Right here in the St. John's Town Center. Not some Wall Street chain. We're your neighbors, and we're here for you. Hurry in today. Don't wait. Beards Diamonds, St. John's Town Center.
Before displaying one of the greatest aerial acts in NBA dunk contest history, D. Brown was pumping his kicks at the Bowl School right here in Jacksonville. From there, Brown would go on to play for Jacksonville University, where his skills would land him as the number 19 pick in the 1990 NBA draft. Brown played for 12 years in the league for 3 different ball clubs, and now is a part of the front office of the Clippers G League affiliate. I'm RJ Saunders, and this Black History Month profile is brought to you by Instant Keys. Fast, professional, locksmith service.
We've all been there. You hear about an incredible event Monday morning, but it happens Sunday. Stop missing out. Jacksonville is the flip side of Florida, and we have the solution. From under-the-radar sporting events to the perfect family outing or date night, Visit Jacksonville is your all-access pass to the city. Plan your 2026 season at visitjacksonville.com/locals. visitjacksonville.com/locals. Or download the Visit Jax app for the full lineup. See what you've been missing.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hey friends, Frank Frangie here. A new year is the perfect time to make sure your car is ready for the road ahead. And nothing gives you more confidence than a fresh set of tires from my friends at Big Chief Tire. I've trusted them for years. They take great care of me, and they'll take great care of you. Start 2026 with a smoother, safer ride. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 today and let Big Chief get you rolling.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focus, fueled, fearless, Farah. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
All right, welcome back to Helmets and Heels on this beautiful Wednesday. Tom McManus, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl, of course, with RJ spinning the tunes for you. We bring Radio Row to you for Super Bowl 60, and Hall of Famer, Super Bowl MVP, 2-time Super Bowl winner, quarterback of the New York Giants, Phil Simms, joins us today. Phil, good morning out there. Good afternoon here. Great to have you on the show, my friend. We appreciate your time.
Well, listen, thank you. It's good to be on and everything. I wish I was a Hall of Famer, but I'm not.
Well, you are a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry, Phil. You're still a
That's
fantastic QB, my man. Appreciate you, but thanks for the correction.
That's all right. Are you guys out? Did you say you're out in the San Francisco area already?
No, we are not. We're here in Jacksonville. Yeah. Now, if our Jags were out there, we'd be heading out there, but came up short a little bit this year.
Yeah, came up short, but great improvement in the team. So everybody in Jacksonville, I would think, yes, I know it was a tough defeat to the Buffalo Bills. And you know what? You caught the Bills where they probably played maybe one of their best games of the year to squeak a victory out over you guys. But look, quarterback, coach, the team.
Yeah.
I expect Jacksonville's got to be happy about the team and thinking next year it's even going to be better.
I think that's where most people are, but yeah, it still stings until probably the Super Bowl ends and feels like, dang, they were so close, just couldn't get a stop when they needed one, and obviously had that second interception thrown by Trevor Lawrence. Phil, let's get it to the Super Bowl. We've got the Seahawks and the Patriots, two quarterbacks that are obviously not that experienced when it comes to the postseason at this point in their careers, but Sam Darnold and Drake May, how do you think these guys' nerves are going to be when Sunday rolls around?
Well, listen, everybody has nerves, defensive lineman, offensive lineman. You're always nervous before the game. And then it starts and, the linemen get the hit right away. So that gets rid of that nerve they had going against them. And for quarterbacks, it's many things. Can you hit the first pass or couple passes? Maybe it is sometimes, and it's real. If you just take a good hit and don't get hurt early in the game in the pocket, it kind of like, okay, I got it. I'm ready. And so that's up to me. Getting off to a good start in the Super Bowl for the quarterbacks has a lot to do with the coach. And, of course, you just can't be so nervous that you don't think clearly either. And I read a book where two quarterbacks in the NFL were in the Super Bowl, and they said they couldn't settle down until about halfway in the second quarter. And when I read this, I said, oh, my God, if I ever get to play in the Super Bowl, I'm sure as hell hope and won't waste a quarter and a half before I settle down. So it's a tricky thing, but I think in this day and age, these coaches know how to handle the quarterbacks pretty well.
Phil, speaking of those coaches, in a world right now where we've talked so much about these young offensive-minded coaches, we have two defensive-minded head coaches heading to the Super Bowl, and Mike Macdonald and Mike Vrabel, obviously. Share your thoughts on that a little bit and kind of how maybe it'll skew a little bit for some of these teams looking for coaches rather than it felt like everybody was going so offensive-minded, and then now this kind of has shifted that storyline a little bit.
I think the first thing I would say is just this. Defensive coaches, just because of who they are, what they teach, they're physical, tough, mean, whatever you want to say, and that lends itself better to especially playoff football when the stakes are so high, everybody's got a little bit of a nerve, everybody's trying to coach the best game of their careers, the coaches are, but, the toughness part, that's what comes through. And when you have a really tough defense, a defensive-minded coach, it filters into the offense too. And we see it with both these teams. Both of these teams want to do what? They want to hand it off and run you over. And what their defenses want to do? They want to take care of that run. And, of course, two good teams that can rush the passer. And when I talk about New England, they can do that. But also timing of their blitzes, stuff like that. New England and both teams are very well coached, and that's why they're in the Super Bowl.
Phil Simms here with us on Helmets and Heels. Phil, the two quarterbacks, Sam Darnold and Drake May, two different, of course, the way their careers have gone. With Sam, is he the reason why you don't give up on QBs too early, Phil, or is he more that's just a unique in that sense? How do you look at Sam Darnold on his fifth team, great years with Minnesota this year? What do you think about that?
Hey, listen, the quarterback talk is always the number one thing every Monday morning. Oh, he threw an interception. His QBR is not high enough and all that crap. And it comes down to this. The situation, the talent around you, the coaching, it all has to be there. Even though we say certain things, this guy carried them to the Super Bowl. Well, I don't know. Maybe there is an instance there, somebody did, but it's all in one. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, many quarterbacks out there. I was telling somebody earlier today, I'm watching a Carolina football game. The camera pans to the sideline. There is Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield standing next to each other as their offense is out on the field. And who was the quarterback for that football team? I won't even ask you. P.J. Walker. And here we have two guys standing over there because they just weren't good enough to get the job done. And they get in situations and look at them now. They are truly franchise quarterbacks. And for Sam Darnold, big, mobile, great footwork throwing the football. I mean, it's great. And good, strong arm. And two, the other thing I love about him, he just does his business, and he's the quarterback. He's not worried about anything else, about getting accolades and everything. I don't want to say he's shy, but he pushes everything off always to his teammates. And I'm going to tell you what, teams love that when you do it as the quarterback.
Phil, do you ever go back and rewatch those Super Bowls that you won?
Yeah, no. The one, of course, when I was the MVP, sometimes I look at the TV and I go, oh, wow, what the hell is that doing on? And I watch it and go, and I literally go, oh, my life would be so different if we'd have lost. And I would just be bitter as hell. Hell, I wouldn't have stopped playing if I didn't win that Super Bowl and be the MVP, because, you carry it for your whole life. But it was kind of fun to watch it and see that, oh, man, I threw that pass. Wow, that could have been knocked down. We had about 3 or 4 passes where the defensive guy jumped up and he was mad as hell because he thought he was going to at least knock the pass down. So when it goes well for you in any game in the NFL, it's great. But, of course, you can't top it when you win or play pretty well in a Super Bowl.
So in that vein, we saw Liam Cohen in his post-game presser and really postseason presser last month, and he seemed still very dejected, even though it was a few days after the season ended. How long do you think it'll take him to get over that loss, albeit obviously not in a Super Bowl or an AFC championship, but still losing that wild card game?
Well, hell, the rest of his life. We won a lot of games with the Giants, and Liam Cohen. It's always these losses in the playoffs stay there with you. And even at the end of the season, I think about games, I go, gosh, man, we had a Super Bowl team there and we blew it. And and Jacksonville wasn't, if Jacksonville would have won the game against Buffalo, won the next 2, goes to the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be going, oh, I can't believe it. No, I could. Would I expect it? No. But would I be super shocked? Absolutely not. The coaching, they got a lot of big-time players. The quarterback, I'm just telling, I'm totally wrong or whatever, and I know Trevor Lawrence would hate to hear all this, but he fell in love with football. He did. This is what, he's sitting there playing going, damn, this is not like I've had him since I've been here. And just the attitude, his eagerness, everything about him, man, I really was happy for him, how he played, how he conducted himself. And 2, yes, the interception at the end of the game or whatever, but it was really tight. It's not like he could say, oh, let me look for another open guy, because that wasn't going to happen. But a little unlucky, but a lot to learn from. And what it does, it just energizes you for next year, too, when you get close.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun stretch, and it was fun. I agree. We talked about it yesterday about just how much of a change you saw from Trevor, not just physically and what he was doing on the field, but it just felt like he was having a good time, and that's what you want to see out of your quarterback. When you talk about the quarterbacks in the Super Bowl this weekend, one of the ones, Drake May, who didn't make a lot of mistakes during the season at all, didn't have a lot of turnovers in the postseason, has struggled with that a little bit. When you go back to what Denver was able to do with him and the fumbles we've seen, some of those interceptions from him, and now you're going up against the Seattle defense, who has just been nasty from start to finish this year. How do you think that the New England offense overcomes what Seattle can do defensively?
Well, I would think number one is they got 2 weeks to really gather and get the game plan that protects their quarterback, and Josh McDaniels is great at that. But also think about it this way too: he played in 3 bad weather games, and that damn football, especially the one they use now. Oh, my gosh. I wish we could have used these. They can rub them up and get them exactly the way they want them. The football is orange. But when you watch the Super Bowl or watch the playoff games, and even in Jacksonville, they're black because they rub them up so well with mud and this and that. I mean, Well, whatever. I'll get it. I'm not playing. But yeah, just playing in bad weather makes it tough. You got to play more careful. And Drake May did that. He had the ball knocked out of his hand a few times. When he threw the football, it didn't go where he wanted it to go. And hopefully, I don't know what the weather forecast is for the game on Sunday, but I hope it's perfect with no wind, nothing. And that'll take a lot off the quarterback's minds if they get that kind of opportunity.
And Phil, you look at both these defenses. I mean, Seattle was phenomenal all season long. They were great in the first game. Of course, the Rams gave them a game, so they gave up some yardage there. New England seems to be playing really well on defense, stopping the run, getting after the QB, having some interceptions. Who's going to have the bigger day, do you think, on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, it wouldn't shock me if this is a low-scoring game because the defensive lines of both teams, I think they're good. They got, I think, pretty good secondaries. You know, for Seattle, the one thing you got to preach and coach is don't overplay. Their defensive backs are very aggressive. They get beat on double moves. They do move a lot as the ball is being snapped, you know, trying to confuse the quarterback. So that's something there. And the other thing is, too, watching those playoff games by New England, it's like, and, you know, I don't look up everybody's stats and how many percentages of the blitzes. I just go what my eye tells me. And when I watch New England, these playoff games, I go, damn, their blitzes are clever, well-timed, and they are getting it done. And in all three games. And, you know, so to beat, you know, they're out there. That game they were playing against the Houston Texans. I mean, come on, that game pushed, you know, football back about 15 years because it was ugly. Well, no, it wasn't ugly. It was great to the coaches, but it was so physical and aggressive. Man, it was like watching a damn 85 Chicago Bears. So that's why I think this game is really going to be interesting. I think the pressure from the defensive lines, I would definitely give the advantage to Sam Darnold. He deals with it well. He throws great under pressure, falling back, all that, moves well in the pocket, a little better than Drake May does at this time of his career.
All right, Phil, final thing. The Giants hired John Harbaugh, offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, defensive coordinator Denard Wilson, and then special teams coordinator Chris Horton. Are you excited for those guys to work with Jackson Dart and the like?
Yeah, I'm excited for the Giants. I was just down there on Monday and talking to John Harbaugh. He was in great spirits and feeling good. And you know what it is? It's almost like, I took the test, and then I get the study, and then I get to take the same test in a week or two. And, you know, you're going to do better. And I always think that about coaches. You know, when they go from one job to the next, they always have to sit back and go, what did I not like when I was coaching this other team? I got to correct that. So I always think you got a chance of having a better coach the second time around, and they really understand how to handle the players and all that. But to answer your question about the Giants, I'm really excited. I do work for the Giants, you know, not a lot, but I wish I could work more, but it's not up to me. But just between the quarterbacks, they got receivers, the O-line, offensive line kind of came around last year. Man, they got some big-time guys to rush the quarterback. So I'm excited for them, and Matt Nagy coming over. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, I watched Jackson Dart a lot leading up to the draft because I figured it's somewhere the Giants were probably getting, and he came up here, and I was at training camp, not all the practices, most of them, and I just remember going, damn, he's better than I thought. Moves better than I thought. Slick, throws the ball really accurate, easy ball to catch. I mean. Man, what's his name? Matt Nagy's sitting there going, you know, I got Patrick Mahomes, and now I got this guy. I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes, but he has a chance to be. I think he's really special.
All right, Phil, great stuff. We so appreciate your time and look forward to watching the game on Sunday.
Yeah, me too. Looking forward to it, and I am going to tear it apart on Monday. And listen, I appreciate you guys having me on, though. I really think gives me a chance to talk it out a little and get some of this off my mind.
Go.
So, yeah.
That's right.
We appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Okay, but thanks for having me on. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. And that's what we do every day.
Just talk it out.
Yeah, discuss amongst ourselves and talk it all out.
Absolutely.
By the way, you're not the biggest Matt Nagy fan,
no.
but the Giants can have him.
Yeah, I mean, I have no ill will towards Matt Nagy. Some people, there's mean people in Chicago, and we went over some of those stories of booing him and his kids playing football, and I hate that stuff. It's not a personal thing. It's just obviously when you go through and you see the regression of Justin Fields under him, it was sad to watch because there were so many glimpses when his rookie season of, oh, this player could be really, really good. And then even Trubisky, they had the year in 2018 and you had that little glimpse, and then he had his downfall, and then Justin Fields had his downfall, and it just felt like you'd have these little glimpses of good, kind of similar to here, where you have that little piece of, oh, maybe Doug and Trevor are going to work, and then it falls apart. And I mean, I saw something even when he took over the Chiefs offense, which he's not, obviously Andy Reid's the head of that, but since Matt Nagy got there, they went from first in scoring and first in EPA per play to last year they were 21st and 11th. Like, and not saying it's all Matt Nagy, there's other factors in that, but it went from first to 15th to 21st within those few years.
It's not the way you want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, at least for Ben, they beefed up the O-line, to protect the QB. All I remember is Fields running for his life.
All the time.
And he could run. He was great at running. There's no doubt about that. We'll see what he could do with Jackson Dart. It sounds like Phil thinks he's got quite the physical tools as a QB.
If he can stay healthy, obviously stay out of the concussion protocol, which was a problem for
How
him
great
this
would
year.
it be, like, to stand next to Phil Simms at practice at camp? That would be pretty awesome.
It'd be either fun or nerve-wracking.
We'd
Considering,
love
again,
it. Yeah.
Super Bowl MVP from Super Bowl 25. Thanks
Teach us
again
some stuff.
to Phil Simms. Great stuff there. All right, more to do on the other side. We'll keep it on the NFL. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels. Bought for you by Green Law Group on 1010XL. Streaming live from the XL Digital Studios. Polished by Harbor Dental Care, the locally owned smile restoration experts.
Tara Loggeman here for Local Fair Jacks. Fresh, local produce, eggs, and meat delivered right to your door. It's where Jeff and I shop because we know exactly where our food is coming from. There's no scary recalls, just trusted local farmers. Visit localfairjacks.com.
Free for life? Just by saying that, you already know I'm referring to Awaken 180. They're the only company providing it. Fast, proven weight loss, and then keep it off thanks to free support for life. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Hey guys, Taylor Dahl here from Helmets and Heels. Valentine's Day is next weekend. Make sure you head to the premium spot this holiday, your neighborhood chocolatier. That's Peterbrook Chocolatier. Quality ingredients from truffles and hand-dipped strawberries to my personal favorite, chocolate-covered popcorn. And of course, they have custom gift baskets. So head over to peterbrook.com to order today or to one of their 8 locations around town. Peterbrook Chocolatier, celebrating 40 years of chocolate.
It all begins with Speed Weeks, presented by Advent Health, February 11th, and culminates with a Daytona 500 on February 15th. This week, you can win a pair of tickets to the Daytona 500. What driver won the 2025 Daytona 500? Text the driver's last name to 641-1010. What driver won the 2025 Daytona 500? Text the driver's last name answer to 641-1010 for a chance to win tickets to the Daytona 500, February 15th.
Hey, life can get a little hectic at times, and no one has time to get hurt, lost wages, injuries that not only hurt, but ones that hinder our success. If you're in this position due to the negligence of another, you deserve to be paid. What's up, Jacksonville? Tom McManus here. I know injuries suck, and if you get injured, check out Morgan & Morgan, the largest personal injury law firm in the country. 100 offices, over 1,000 lawyers, with enough firepower to handle any and all personal injury cases that you may be dealing with. They make filing a claim easy and don't get paid unless you do. That's right, Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Visit forthepeople.com or hit Pound Law from your cell. Pound Law, that's all.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Underwood has completed 75 years in business, and now you are starting your next 75 years. If you were going to simplify things, what is the single most important thing in Underwood's history, and what will be the most important thing in your future?
Frank, that's simple. Our honesty and integrity. You know, our founder, H.F. Underwood's favorite saying was, know the truth and tell the truth. That's why we're the longest-standing member of the American Gem Society in Florida, because we know you have to have the knowledge about gemstones before you can tell the truth about them. That's why we continue to educate our staff through the Gemological Institute of America and the American Gem Society. In fact, Today, Underwood's has the largest American Gym Society credentialed staff of professionals east of the Mississippi River. So come by and see why we're looking forward to the next 75 years and let one of our experts assist you.
That's at Underwood's, serving excellence since 1928. In San Marco, Avondale, the shops of Ponte Vedra, Underwood Jewelers.
Hi, I'm Sarah Alford, CEO for Big Brothers Big Sisters Northeast Florida. With the support of the players, we're creating mentoring relationships that help young people reach their full potential. Only 34 days until the players.
Gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? Because this message is for you. ET here on behalf of Blue Chew. And when it's all on the line, and when the moment counts, make sure that when you shoot, you don't miss. And Blue Chew tablets got you covered. Blue Chew provides access to chewable tablets that help you feel and perform at a high level with stronger results and longer lasting performance. With a simple, discreet process so you don't have to worry about the nosy neighbors because they're in everybody's business. No waiting rooms, no awkward appointments. Just fast-acting chewables delivered straight to your doorstep. And guess what? I got a special deal for our listeners. Get your first month of Blue Chew on me. Just pay $5 in shipping. Just use promo code 1010XL at checkout and cover them $5 for shipping again. That's promo code 1010XL and your first month of Blue Chew is on me. Head over to BlueChew.com for details and safety info. Then just chew it and do it.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch.
We're not done giving shout-outs around here.
No way.
Shout out to some char wings, thanks to Flame Broilers.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm a wing person. If you know me, that's one of my favorite things to eat. And these ones obviously not fried. I also love fried wings, but the char wings are delicious also because it gives that kind of little extra flavor on the outside from the char grilled side of things. So absolutely delicious. We got 3 flavors here, but the spicy is my favorite. So anything spicy, give me, and it's the perfect amount of kick.
If I come in beginning of next segment, it sounds like I have food in my mouth. It's probably because I do. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, Flame Rose has 5 locations around Jacksonville, and there's this game on Sunday. I don't know if people have started planning for it or not, but Super Bowl 60 is on Sunday, and so make sure you get some Flame Broiler wings.
Wings and
so easy
beers.
to show up with wings, to your Super Bowl party, or if you're hosting a Super Bowl party, have your different flavors of wings. By all means, Flame Broilers is the place to go. So we thank them for stopping by today. All right, Taylor Dahl, I did some heavy lifting when it comes to the college football roster building this past Friday, and it inspired you to do your own heavy lifting, but when it comes to the NFL.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've talked so much about the shift in college football and how everything looks different, obviously, with NIL and the portal and how many times kids can transfer now. It's affected a lot of things of how teams have built their rosters, and we went over that the other day with all of your Excel information that you put together when it comes to that blue chip, you're calling it the new chip ratio, combining the portal with the recruits. And so it was interesting, and it got me thinking about how NFL rosters build theirs, because we see these teams who just feel consistently good all the time. When you talk about, or at least for the majority of the last 20, 30 years, you feel like the Steelers are in that conversation, the Ravens, the Chiefs have been there, I guess the Bills are newer in that sense. Philly, I guess I would put there, the Niners, I would put there. There's this group of teams that you just feel like have found success no matter who the QB is, no matter who the coach is, no matter what's going on organizationally. And so I wanted to see if there was any comparison to those teams and what their rosters look like right now and how they're built.
As far as the draft versus free agency. I think we talked about it with the Super Bowl between the Eagles and the Chiefs, like just how many players on the Eagles were homegrown as far as drafted versus the Chiefs, who had more of the guys signed in free agency.
Yeah, and that's what you kind of, it also depends, as I was going through this, some teams very heavy offensively draft and defensively hit free agency. And I kind of clumped free agency, trades, undrafteds together because I felt like that was just kind of a group. You did not draft that player, but you got them in some other way. It's pretty much the two categories. Fair. And so you've seen a shift of teams where there's teams where you just feel like almost everything, like offensively, they hit on all their offensive players. Defensively, they've had to kind of lean on trades and free agency a little bit more. And it's on both categories. So I kind of broke it down. I started with the playoff teams because I felt like that was one of the more interesting things to look at the playoff teams and how they've built their rosters. But a couple notes on this to begin when it comes to the draft. So I read a stat saying that only 30% of first rounders sign a second deal with their drafted team, and only 22% of second rounders, only 17% of third rounders, and it trickles down from there of those second round contracts. The Jags, this may have shifted. I remember reading an article, I think it was probably about 2 years ago, and the Jags were in the bottom 5 of re-signed players that they've drafted. Multiple things go into that. Some of the players you could argue you probably should have given a contract to and you didn't. Some you just miss on it and you weren't able. You don't want to re-sign them. Some they hit free agency and someone paid them more than what you. So there's a lot of reasons for that, but the correlation between the bottom 5 teams, even let's go to 8 teams of who have those second round contracts given out, the fewest of them were the teams have also had the worst records in the NFL in the past 15 years.
So second contracts.
Yes. Right. And so to me, that does indicate that you are hitting on more draft picks and you get people to want to stay and play for your team. And there's a lot of kind of things that correlate to that. So that note was just interesting to me in general. But when you go to, so I'll start with just some of let's just start with the Super Bowl teams, because I think those are 2 that we're going to
good place
probably
to start.
Talk about a lot this week, as we are with the Super Bowl this weekend. So when you look at the Patriots, for example, I broke it down between, like I said, their starters that were drafted and then the other, got received in whatever other way. And then I did their entire roster and I compared what their roster looks like compared to their starters. Because one of the things we heard so much here also about from Liam Cohen and James Gladstone is they kept saying that raising the floor. And that is one of the biggest things that I've noticed in the winning teams compared to the teams that were at the bottom of the league this year is it was more about the depth than it was the starters. But the Patriots, for example, so 11 of their total starters, 11 of their starters, so 44% of their rostered starters were drafted. That is it wasn't the highest. For example, I'll give you let's make this easier. I'll give you the highest so you can compare the Super Bowl teams to that, because that might be a little bit easier. So when you just look at the highest drafted percentage of starters, the Niners had the most with 74%. 74% of their starters they have drafted.
They drafted.
The second most tied with them actually is the Packers, 74%. We've talked about that a ton. You look at their receivers, their weapons, their quarterback, pretty much everything offensively, they've been able to draft. The third is the Eagles at 73%. Right behind them, the Bills at 65% and the Chargers at 61%. So those are the top 5 in the NFL of players, and that's just combining offense and defense, drafted players that are starting on these rosters right now. And so the Patriots have 44%. It's not you're not core, like that's a big jump from what the Niners and Packers have been able to do. But
and we know the Patriots spent a lot of money in free agency this year to supplement that.
And so that's where you kind of say, like, how the longevity of that is what you start to talk about. Are you able to draft some of these players and develop? Because right now, the rookie contracts are going to be a little bit more affordable. There's a lot of guaranteed money if you're in that first round now. So that kind of shifts things a little bit. But when you look at the Patriots, for example, that 44% of when it comes to their starters is 43% of their entire roster also. So I feel like they're trending up, it feels like. I think the Patriots were in that world for a while where they did have a lot of older players and they had to completely reset, and you hit the coach and the quarterback, and how much does that help in a sense? But the Seahawks, they have 57% of their starters on offense and defense have been drafted. And when you separate that, 13 when it comes to 8 offensively, 5 defensively when it comes to their drafted players. And then for the Patriots, it was 7 offensive players and only 4 defensive players that they drafted that are starting on their roster. So that's where you start to see that shift too. You see a lot of these winning teams where their offenses are heavily drafted players and their defense are more guys that they go pick up throughout the year or through free agency or however the case may be. And so that got me thinking in the sense too, why do you think that is, Tommy? Why do you think that do you feel like finding those picks in the draft offensively is easier than hitting on the linebackers and the defensive tackles and things like that?
You wouldn't think so, because it's easier to play defense, from a mental, standpoint. But you think about them when you say that, I think of the Rams Williams. You find Kyron Williams. You find Puka Nakua, my
Nicely
man. Puka,
done.
thank you.
Very proud.
In the 5th and 4th rounds, you're like, how do you find those guys and what set them apart on film, right? Making a ton of plays, I'm sure. But, like the knock on, Puka was his speed.
Mm-hmm.
Did he run it? He ran about 40 or just wasn't fast enough. But you watch him on film, and he's fast enough, right? He's big and strong. So maybe it's just the kind of athlete that plays on offense.
Yeah.
And not that the defensive guys aren't athletic and whatnot. But maybe there's less wear and tear, possibly. Maybe as far as being a veteran, a veteran on defense is easier to get them into the mix and get them to learn your scheme a little bit and what what you expect out of them. It's interesting because I think you probably, I don't know if you went through your stats would tell it, but do you build through the draft or do you build through free agency, or is it what kind of hybrid do you have? And I think it really comes down to that organization and how they view the draft. Some view the draft like, no, we build through the draft and we keep our guys and we extend them and we build our team that way.
It's cheapest to build to the draft.
And then we fill in the blanks when we need to, or we go after, one of those 5 stud positions and we go overpay somebody, that hit. I think a lot of times with free agency too, I mean, I don't know. Think of how many misses in free agency just here in Jacksonville over the past couple decades. Why were those misses? Did the guys, get fat and happy and didn't, forgot what got them there in the first place and they just kind of put it in neutral? Did they not fit the culture and whatnot? You go from Jerry Porter. When Jerry Porter was signed, we were like, oh, Jerry Porter, I think he's had a good year at the Raiders, he's going to do something here. Hugh Douglas, there's one offense, one defense. Why didn't they work out here? When Hugh Douglas was signed, everyone's like, holy cow, man, that guy gets after the QB. And then he just didn't do anything here, for whatever reason. So I don't know if there's an exact science. I think it's more like what is the direction of that franchise, of that organization, and how do you want to build this thing? I think with Vrabel, I mean, look, you walk in there and they're willing to throw up $300+ million in the values of contracts to build your team. We already got you, some draft picks. We got you a QB, we feel. Now go out there and get the rest. That's an organization that says, hey, we're not waiting. There's no rebuild. It's not like let's redraft and let's grow these kids and make them, patriot. You know what I mean? Like it's no, let's grab them that are going to help us. And then let's go get whatever we got to get to get to the championship. And guess what? It worked. You know what I mean? By the way, Seattle, number 4 at what they paid. Granted, Darnold was a big part of that, but they spent over non-Darnold. They spent over $100 million in free agency. And they've got great drafts, but then with Mike McDonald in his second year, like maybe kind of the same thing. Hey, we're not waiting. We want you to win now. Well, you can't win totally now just through the draft. Those kids aren't ready. You know what I mean? Across the board. Some will be, some won't be. But you bring in the veterans that fit your style and you need them scheme-wise. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that's an organization that says, hey, we're all in every year. We're not going to just, cut off these contracts, get rid of them, heal for a year, get a better draft pick the next year, build through the draft, and hopefully that, eventually, you know what I mean? They're more like, no, let's do well in the draft, but let's go get the guys that we need to get to take us over the top. And I think the guys in the Super Bowl right now, they're examples of that. They have a little mix, good draft picks, and then. I mean, think of Seattle without Darnold. What if Geno never went to the Raiders? Yeah. Would they be in this position? I don't know.
We won't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
We'll never know.
Right.
All right, let's keep diving into the data on the other side. Keep it right here. Helmets and Heels, 10 to Nix on 92.5 FM.
This is the place for Jaguars football.
Your AFC South champs, baby.
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Helmets and Heels.
Backed by Green Law Group on 1010XL.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic
On
Specialists.
February 4th, 1991, the Baseball Hall of Fame Board of Directors voted 12-0 to bar Pete Rose from the Hall of Fame due to his betting on games while he was a player and a manager.
Be the first to discover the best new home community in beautiful Green Cove Springs. Highland Trail, where the rhythm of life slows down. Enjoy green spaces, luxury pools, pickleball courts, winding trails, and more at livehighlandtrail.com. Choose from 3 premium builders, just starting in the 300s.
Oh, at Highland Trail. Hey, Tom McManus here. When it comes to glass, you don't want average, you want flawless. And Duval Glass and Mirror has transformed homes and businesses across Jayville for over 35 years. Frameless showers that wow, mirrors cut exactly to your style, fogged or broken glass replaced, decorative tabletops, windows replaced or repaired to stand up to those Florida storms, all backed by a 100% guarantee. Visit DuvalGlass.com for your free quote today. There's only one name around here for glass and mirror, and that's Duval Glass.
San Jose Collision in Mandarin is proud to be an I-CAR Gold Class collision repair facility. That means they meet the industry's highest training standards. Experience the difference at San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Are you ready for another historic season at the bank? It's time to lock in your seats for 2026 by placing your deposit now. Next season will be played at Everbank Stadium, but seating capacity is limited due to in-bowl renovations, and spots are going fast. Don't miss out on your chance to see the season's biggest matchups and highlight real moments by placing your deposit at jaguars.com/tickets or by calling 904-633-2000. Go Jags!
It's a dream come true. Today's coverage of National Signing Day on 1010XL is brought to you by Baker Glass and Flame Broiler. Listen all day for updates and find out where our high school athletes will take their talents this fall.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry and receive a free hair and scalp examination and get 2 weeks of laser treatments for free. Call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Hairforme.com.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch.
Tom McManus, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. We will continue the NFL roster building conversation on the other side. But before that, we're going to talk a little college football. Time now for Lauren's Lane.
Now, Lauren's Lane. Opened up by Closets by Design. Imagine your home totally organized.
Y'all, I have massive news. It was actually enjoyable to watch and listen to John Sumrall's press conference today.
Okay.
The Florida head football coach met with media for a while, and he actually made me and others laugh during it. It was not boring. And he also shared great information. It was very transparent about a lot of things. And I actually walked away from the press conference with renewed vigor for the Florida football team. Because as Taylor well knows, Billy Napier's press conferences, my goodness, were just like watching paint dry. But one of the funny things that he said is he was going to get a temporary restraining order like we saw in the Charles Bediako, Alabama basketball case. And right now, Joey Aguilar with Tennessee trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, right.
He said he's going to get a temporary restraining order filed so that Tim Tebow can come back and play for the University of Florida.
There you go.
Yeah, he also said that was funny, you have to go to school still. And then he said, allegedly. He's like, we do still have classes that we have to send these guys to, which I thought was funny.
Carson Beck says otherwise.
Exactly. He agreed with Josh Pate, not in those words, but the conversation that we had about moving the college football season to week 0 and then making sure that the national championship was much more in line with New Year's Day versus much later in January. He liked all that. He actually wouldn't mind a second transfer portal window opening after the spring because he's a first-year head coach. So he would be able to look at his roster and say,
not good enough.
I've got some holes here and there. I need to go, not necessarily poach, but I need to go get guys that may not start elsewhere. I liked this quote. He said, I like recruiting. I love coaching. I thought that was great because, recruiting's certainly a part in practice that aren't coaching. Then he doesn't know why they're there. Like, you can't just be a good recruiter and not be a good coach. And then I found this really cool. Exactly. Good old Billy. The Florida strength and conditioning coach, his name is Rusty Witt. He has been with John Summerall previously, and he is a former Green Beret.
Oh, wow.
So you want to be put through a really hard strength and conditioning program?
I don't.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those strength coaches are named Rusty.
Maybe. That sounds accurate, right?
Yeah.
So he developed and initiated a comprehensive pre-deployment conditioning program for his special forces team that then, once he got out of the military, then he started to bring that to college football programs. And so John Summerall said he would not be the head coach of the University of Florida if it wasn't for Rusty Witt. Cool. And so I thought that was really cool. And then last thing, as far as the team is concerned, as far as wide receiver Eric Singleton. So Eric Singleton was a guy that thought about going into the draft, and then he decided to transfer. Well, his very first offer ever was by Troy. He was an under-recruited player. John Summerall was the head coach at Troy. Well, then Eric Singleton is also a track star. So he started running these times that were so incredibly fast that then bigger schools picked up on him, Georgia Tech being one of those. And Georgia Tech said, you can both play football and run track here. Cool. So Singleton went to Georgia Tech. And then who would have been his offensive coordinator? Buster Faulkner, now Florida's offensive coordinator. Wow. Then he ended up transferring to Auburn. And Auburn's wide receivers coach is now Florida's wide receivers coach. Marcus Davis, I think is his name. Yeah. And then, like I said, thought about going to the NFL, but then decided to transfer. So now he's at Florida because, of course, come full circle, he has familiarity with all these guys. And so certainly expecting him to be an impressive addition to that wide receiving core.
I remember like DBs and receivers and running backs running track in the springtime. Even in between spring ball, they would at least go to the practices, because you're working on your sprints. When you're working on getting faster. They didn't want my services at all. I wouldn't have helped them at all. But you could see that, But again, by the way, what he says, Summerall, about this second
transfer portal window that doesn't
I can kind of get that. I don't really like it because, like, come on, man, just pick your team. But with the pressure that's on these guys to perform quickly, I get what he's saying. He's like, man, it's my first year. Here's my team, but I don't like 5 or 6 guys. It'd be nice if I could go find somebody that is better than them.
But they can't provide a second transfer portal window for first-year head coaches.
Yeah, like if you're a first year, you get it, but nobody else.
Yeah, because then that upsets the entire apple cart, and so we can't do that. Which the NCAA is already upset, so we'll move on.
Because then they'll be like, Lane Kiffin doesn't deserve an extra portal.
Exactly, that is what they will say. All right, back to Taylor's NFL data. Keep it right here. Helmets and Heels, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
There's something about hearing the game live that makes it all come to life. Feel the energy on 1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is RJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
Helmets and Heels from the Greenlaw Group Studios.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Discuss the beautiful game. The Coaches Show presented by Sporting Jacks. Cole Pepper, Sporting Jacks head of soccer Mark Warburton, and Sporting Jacks women's coach Stacey Baylor. Get an hour of soccer talk Tuesday evenings at 6 on 1010 a.m.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Looking to elevate your game night experience? Look no further than Best Bet. We're not just a card room, we're your destination for excitement, fun, and big wins. Whether you're a seasoned player or new to the game, we have something for everyone. Join us at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, or St. Augustine for thrilling tournaments, exciting promotions, and a vibrant atmosphere that will take your game night to the next level. Elevate your game night at Best Bet. Visit bestbetjacks.com to learn more. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Zero Res Month of Love Sale. Hicken here. Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, it's also the biggest air filter in your home. If your carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you're breathing unhealthy levels of nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating again and again. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $149. Book online at ZeroResJacksonville.com and say you want the 1010 XL or Dan Hicken special.
Zero Res. Daily Stash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daily Stash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Dailies is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Do you want to grow your career with a company that's committed to growing with you? Florida Home AC has aggressive plans to double their workforce, and they're looking for determined, resourceful people with initiative. Just log on to floridahomeac.com/careers to find out more.
Ready to put your dream car in drive? Get solid rates for the road ahead when you finance with First Florida Credit Union. Enjoy competitive low rates, up to 90 days of no payments, and budget-friendly protection plans. Whether you're buying a vehicle or refinancing, stop by a branch or apply online at firstflorida.org/autoloans. Membership eligibility required. Interest accrues during loan payment deferral period. Federally insured by NCUA. Visit firstflorida.org/autoloans.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Pick it here for Oceanside Cleaners, the very best in dry cleaning service. Free pickup and delivery, or use their self-service kiosk in Ponte Vedra and Southside for drop-off and pickup. Dry cleaning, laundry, bedding, and bridal gown preservation. If it's got fabric, they can clean it. Oceanside Cleaners.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update brought to you by Kuhn Flowers. Former Jaguars head coach Gus Bradley is returning to the AFC South, this time joining Robert Salah and the Tennessee Titans in Nashville as the team's new defensive coordinator. Bradley is coming with Salah from San Francisco, where last season he worked as the assistant head coach. He now faces his former team 2 times a year. It's currently 70 degrees at 3:03 time and temp, brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
Some NFL players are saying this to their teams. Baby, hold on to me. We shall see if that applies to the guys that are free agents around these parts, like a Travis Etienne Jr., like a Devin Lloyd, like a Buster Brown. Yeah. This, of course, Eddie Money in the song, Baby, hold on.
Devin looked good last night for just seeing him on camera and stuff. You know, he looks like he's having a good time. And
I feel like since last year, after losing that weight and getting in such great shape, like he looks like a prototypical linebacker in the NFL.
He's a big linebacker.
He's big, but like if you were to be able to
compare to last year too. Well, Josh Hines Allen too. Remember the pictures that we were seeing of
Josh
how
Hines
different
Allen
he looked.
Trayvon and those guys didn't play at their proper weights for sure. But like if you were going to create a linebacker in a lab, I feel like Devin Lloyd would be pretty much what you'd create.
Yeah, 6'4", 250, can run, likes to hit.
Yeah.
Good at blitzing, can cover a little bit. Yeah, he's got it all. There's no doubt about I still, like, I was watching, they were warming up, and I think Roquan Smith was first. I was like, he had a better year than Roquan. I mean, he did. Statistically had a better year. Roquan had more tackles. But, I was talking to a friend of mine at lunch today. I'm like, listen, you're supposed to make a lot of tackles as the middle linebacker. That's your job. It's almost set up for you. It's either you or the free safety, not free safety, but the safety that's free, or the backside backer that's free. Somebody should be free, and you're supposed to make tackles. That's like you.
We don't have a stat for I mean, we have tackles for loss, but I mean, like
where they're at, line of scrimmage. Are they close to the line of scrimmage? Are they down the field?
You just get a lot of tackles.
Where is the loss?
Even if you tackle them 20 yards downfield, it's still technically a tackle.
But even if you stop them, it's set up for the middle backer and the strong safety to make most of the tackles in the defense. So it's tackles do mean a lot. Obviously, you got to get the guy down. Means a lot, but that's not special. Even if you lead, it's special if you lead because
interceptions are special.
Yeah, interceptions are special.
Sacks
are special. Interception returns for touchdowns are wicked special. Yeah. Those kinds of things. That's what makes more of a playmaker at that linebacker position. I think that's what Devin Lloyd is. I think he's that kind of playmaker.
I almost feel like it's more meaningful, the low missed tackle rate, and Devin Lloyd was towards the top of that too. That's what you want to see from a linebacker, because you have the guys, cool, if you get 130, but how many have you missed of the, your chances that you've gotten? And Roquan's a fantastic linebacker, but I will say that it is his name. The last couple seasons he's gotten in the Pro Bowl, and he's had not as good a season as several linebackers, but that name kind of ties him into it every single year.
Yeah, and Shire's good. He's a really good linebacker too. But I don't know if he had a better year than Devin. I think Devin Lloyd had the most impactful year as an inside off linebacker.
Yeah, and Devin, by the way, earlier this week talked to NFL.com's Kevin Patra about his free agency going on right now, and he said that he's had no talks with the Jaguars to this point.
Yeah, I saw that.
And every year's a prove-it year. So we shall see what that means.
Yeah, I don't think it means anything yet, as far as not talking to him about contract. They got to feel it out, and he's got to feel it out. He's got to figure out what he's looking for. There's got to be a number. Him and his agent are sitting going, all right, Devin, if his agent's worth his salt, he's giving it to him straight. This is what you can expect.
Yeah. This is what you could get, 20 mil.
Yeah, per year for 3 years.
Yeah.
With this day and age, probably like $40 million guaranteed if it's a $60 million, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah.
Every contract's a little different, obviously, depending on how much they're looking for.
But you also got to factor in quality of life, where you like to live.
His mom lives here, he said, and his lady lives here.
And the state tax, you got to factor that into all of it, and other taxes that may pop up wherever you're at. If you go out west, you go up north, property tax shoots way up. You factor all that in, maybe you do stay here.
Shave off $1 million or two.
Yeah.
Stay here in
think about it.
Jacksonville.
It could be that number based on if he's, they're expecting that kind of money. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. I want to get back to Taylor's data, and I want to see. So the Ravens, the Bengals, the Bills, 3 teams that people, or the Chiefs, I should add in there too. The Bills at least made the playoffs, but those 3 teams, the Bengals, the Ravens, the Chiefs, what do they look like as far as statistically? And then we'll get to the Jags.
Yeah. So when you look at it too, and this is what is most interesting, because the drafted can be misleading at times. You see the Niners with that, as I mentioned, for the rosters. Let's just repeat that real quick. Largest drafted percentage of starters that were drafted: Niners, Packers, Eagles, Bills, Chargers. All playoff teams, all teams. You look at their rosters and seem pretty well built. Largest drafted for rosters as a whole, it shifts a little bit. It's Bears, Packers, Eagles, Bills, Rams are for the roster in entirety. So when you look
playoff teams.
Yeah, also all playoff teams. And they all sit between like 55% and 74% of their players are drafted on their roster and then on that starting roster. The drafted isn't as significantly different for the bottom teams in the NFL. Here's one example. The Jets, 67% of their starters are drafted. The one caveat I think to that is they traded all of their veteran good players away, which were also drafted though. And so I do think a lot of those depth pieces that they've kind of drafted in later rounds had to step up this year. But for the most part, they were all around like low, high 40s. You had a couple like the Giants hit 65%, the Cowboys at 56%. So when you look at just statistically the teams that didn't perform well this season, some of those still had the higher drafted percentage. The biggest difference that I noticed is when it comes to the roster as a whole. So those depth pieces that they've been able to find in the draft that can come in and when someone gets injured can play well or whatever the case may be, because when it comes to the playoff teams, almost every single team was almost 50% or higher. And on the teams that did not make the playoffs, and I looked at the bottom, let's say like 8 teams, all of those were like under 30% of the roster as a whole. So maybe a lot of their starters are drafted players, but their whole roster is not, because they've probably had to hit the panic button in free agency and pick up a bunch of people and fill in holes. So when you look at some of the ones that we were talking about when it comes to the Bengals and the Chiefs, so the Chiefs actually theirs has decreased, because I remember a couple years ago they were highly, almost their entire roster it felt like was drafted, and they honestly had dropped to now for the starters this year. And this also, when you look at the depth chart now, if somebody's on like IR or something, they're not put back on it, and so some of this may be a little skewed at this point too, but they're at like 54% of the entire, and then their starters is at like 61%. So it's still pretty high, but I remember a couple years ago it was like 73% or something like that, the one Super Bowl year when I went through these. So theirs has drastically changed. The Bengals have a problem. The Bengals, when it comes to their drafted players, starting is pretty high. They're at like 64%, but their roster as a whole is only like 48% of drafted players. So that kind of indicates, number one, we've talked about how cheap they are. So they're not really good at giving out second contracts. They haven't been the best drafters, honestly, either. You hit on the receiver and Joe, but when you look at even this year, the first they got the Shamar Stewart, I think his name is, and that was you kind of were throwing a dart at a dartboard hoping he could be a good pass rusher, and he didn't really show much. Then he got injured, so they've wasted honestly a lot of their draft picks, and then we've seen all of the back and forth through the off season too of them not even wanting to pay their draft picks. So that's some of that. When you look at one of the interesting ones, and it goes back to something you were saying, Tommy, it's a combination of how you build these, and almost every single team, it's other than the Niners have the biggest differential with that 74% of their drafted players. Most are, like I said, between 55 and 60, so it's pretty even when it comes to who's drafted and who had been traded or whatever the case may be. The Commanders are one that's been interesting, and this is something I kept talking about last year of how I don't think it's built. They weren't built for a long term because they went and got a bunch of older players. They were like, hey, let's stack this defense with a bunch of veterans, and let's go get we'll keep Terry McLaurin and we'll get some of these players. They had a De'Ami Brown, they had a Alamide Zacchaeus, and all of these guys that were like good players, but they weren't drafted and developed through them for the most part, or if they were, they're in the later part of their NFL career. And so when you look at the Commanders right now, they're only at like under 40% of their starters were drafted. And that to me is one of the biggest indicators of why it kind of fell off this season. They were counting too much on those veteran older players to keep their team afloat, and it kind of fell apart when injuries started happening and you didn't have the depth to come in and fix some things. They had under 30% of their whole roster are guys they've drafted.
Yeah, and it matters who you draft, right? I mean, the Jets might draft and they may be starters, but maybe they're not that
top tier guys,
players type deal. Listen, the draft's hard to hit on. I mean, it's hard to hit on. It's hard to, make sure. I mean, you think it just goes through the Jaguars, through our history of draft picks. You could name a bunch of them that didn't work out for many different reasons.
But the best franchises, their draft picks hit. Yeah. So we'll look at the Jaguars in a little bit. But first, let's chat more NFL with Qadry Ismail. Certainly a guy that knows all about the Super Bowl since it is Super Bowl week. Keep it right here. Helmets and Heels, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Radio that works and protected by just as hard as you do.
Starting to get the picture?
We are proud to be Jacksonville Sports Radio 1010XL.
Helmets and Heels.
Protected by
Green Law Group. For the insured. Fighting for you.
Frank Frangie here, and Big Chief Tire makes it easier than ever to get the tires you need with the Big Chief credit card. No annual fee, low monthly payments, and great promotional financing. Plus, you get free flat repairs and rotations, and right now, $50 off your first purchase when you sign up. I love how simple they make everything. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com to apply for the credit card and get the tires you need today. That's Big Chief Tire.
the biggest game on the planet. Such a big game, we're not even allowed to say its name. It's the biggest game of the year, and 1010XL will show you every angle. Coverage is brought to you by Window World of Northeast Florida and Holland Sons Plumbing.
This is Mark Nato. My sons and I have seen the doctors and PAs at Southeast Ortho for everything from lumbar spine stress to elbow tendonitis. Southeast has always been there, been truthful, and always been on point. Everything they say happens. We can't thank them enough for what they've done and the great care that they have taken of our sons.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Finding the right plumber to reline your cast iron pipes doesn't have to be a stressful experience. When you hire Superior Plumbing and Pipelining, you can rest assured you're getting the best in the industry. At Superior Plumbing and Pipelining, we're so confident in our work that we encourage you to get multiple estimates. Look at each company's reviews and check the scope of their pipelining work to make sure it's what you're expecting. But at the end of the day, make the superior choice. Superior Plumbing and Pipelining. Request a free estimate at superiorplumbingjacks.com.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pool. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
Make Capital Glass and Shower Doors your premier choice for top-quality glass solutions. With over 40 years of expertise, their team specializes in commercial and residential projects. From elegant shower doors to modern frameless enclosures, they've got you covered. But that's not all. They also offer glass railing systems, glass wine cabinets, and much more. For unmatched quality and service, choose Capital Glass and Shower Doors. Your vision, their expertise. Visit online at capcoglass.com.
Winter is in full swing, and Aleve is here to keep you moving. When the cold weather sets in, everyday aches and pains can linger, but Aleve's got your back. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, Aleve keeps you going with long-lasting body pain relief to get you through whatever the season brings. Chilly days or cozy nights, Aleve gives you that long-lasting body pain relief you can count on this winter. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
Low mortgage rates are back. Listen, Loan Pronto has fixed rate mortgages with APRs as low as 4.89%. It's the lowest in years. Hey, gang, Prosser here. Smart homeowners are taking advantage of this while they can. If you got stuck in a 6% loan, you can lower your payment big time, or you can keep your primary mortgage intact, get cash out. Equity with Loan Pronto's rapid equity loans. One homeowner just got $250,000 out of their home. They paid off all their credit cards, some car loans, and cut their monthly expense by $2,000. Call now. See what option works best for you, but don't miss this big rate drop of 2026. Ask about new home loans, VA loans, full cash out refis, or their famous rapid equity loan. You can close in less than 2 weeks. You may be able to skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Call 904-999-1508 or visit loanpronto.com. No hard credit pull. 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. APR for well-qualified buyers.
Visit NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Tom McManus, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you as we welcome you back to Helmets and Heels, and we chat with our next guest as we continue to talk about Super Bowl 60 between the Seahawks and the Patriots. We'll talk with a former Super Bowl champion and co-host of the Purple pregame show. Kadri Ismail joins us now. Kadri, thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
Appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. So we were just talking about roster building and things like that. I feel like everyone thinks the Seahawks are going to win this game, and a big part of it is because it feels like they have better weapons than the Patriots do. But how do you feel about that?
Well, the Super Bowl is so weird because the moment you start talking about favorites, that's where things kind of go up in smoke. I look at the Patriots playing against the Falcons, and everyone was talking about, well, the Patriots, they have the advantage. And sure enough, that first half, you just thought, okay, well, this is the Falcons. They're going to end the Patriots dynasty. And then, nope, here we go. Patriots come back and they win it. You talk about the Eagles and the Patriots. Oh, it's going to be a low-scoring game. And sure enough, you have one of the all-time greatest entertaining games. And I think it was like well over 1,000 yards of offense combined. And, teams are going back and forth. And then next thing you know, you got the Philly special. And that's, the lore of how Philly was able to win their championship. Each game has its own unique flavor, whether it be the Kansas City Chiefs and their dynasty run, whether it be just the play today of what it looks like, and the Philadelphia Eagles going against the Kansas City Chiefs, and you just thought, Kansas City, hey, they know what's what. They're just going to go out there and win. And sure enough, they get mud stomped by the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Seahawks, yes. Are they a good football team? They're a dominant offense. Well, they have dominant pieces on offense. I don't know if Sam Darnold would be considered a dominant quarterback, but their defense certainly, has passed the test. And it's whether or not, the Patriots, what do they look like? Can they play mistake-free football? And that's going to be the biggest tell.
Kadri, when you talk about this time, I saw something from Mike Rabel talking about he's trying to keep this week as normal as possible for the players. And so going back to your time heading to the Super Bowl, what was that week in between look and feel like when you're going from that conference championship game to the Super Bowl on that Sunday?
The biggest thing is the tickets and the family travel. If you can get past that, that's where you're home free. And I thought the way the Baltimore Ravens did it, there was a story, one of the executives years after the Super Bowl was over with, he was explaining to me that David Modell, he was offered a blueprint on how to win the Super Bowl. It would cost him $100,000, but it would be a guaranteed win for him. And if his organization would accept it, he was like, fine, I'll do it. And so everything in that playbook they put into play. One of the things was that, you make the week as normal as possible, like a normal game week leading up to it. And you don't give away the entire game plan, so it keeps guys fresh. But as far as travel, you have liaisons that will handle everything. All the wags and what they need or don't need will be taken care of. They'll be in an entirely separate hotel. Therefore, the players won't be distracted. And again, you try to make it as normal of a game week as possible. You'll give the families things to do. You'll get them out of the guy's hair. And pretty much that's what it looked like. I mean, there was a lot of other things that went on too, but no stone is left unturned. I don't know if those, details are still prevalent today, but I know what it means when he says, hey, you try to keep things as normal as possible.
So you're blaming all these women for reasons
They weakened legs. Yes,
teams
they
have
weakened
lost.
the
I
legs.
get it. Uh-huh.
Kadri, great to have you on the show, man. Appreciate the time. A lot of talk with Sam Darnold, of course, and rightfully so. What are you expecting out of Drake May on Sunday? I mean, he had a great regular season, postseason. He's done more with his legs. He's turned the ball over, but he's won games. What are you expecting out of the second-year player for the New England Patriots?
Well, I tell you what, Drake May, as the young folk like to call him, you better put some respect on his name because the guy just put up an incredible season in his second year. And I think the poise and maturity that he's been able to show each week, for them to go on a road, I mean, just winning after winning after winning and putting on an incredible streak is remarkable. So, yes, the turnovers are their problem, sure. But is he resilient mentally enough to overcome them? Clearly, he's shown that, and he's going to be put to the test again against the Seattle Seahawks defense.
Qadry Ismail with us, and certainly a Super Bowl champion. I want to talk about the Ravens, an organization you obviously know well. The Ravens ended up hiring Jesse Minter after Harbaugh left, but you also interviewed the Ravens, not necessarily you, Qadry, but interviewed Anthony Campanile, the Jaguars defensive coordinator. Share your thoughts on how that search went down.
Yeah, so I think for Eric DeCosta, Sashi Brown, the team president, and Ozzie Newsome, the former general manager who I'm sure right now he has emeritus status the way he's walks around the building. But, yeah, they were tasked with finding the next head coach. And Steve Bisciotti was, saying, look, I'm not coming up there to look at every single guy that you guys are going to interview, but we want you guys to have a thorough interview process. And they did that. And I think the Zoom calls really helped out. I think it gave them an opportunity to talk to other people that they probably would not have spoken with in previous years. And I think from a Jags aspect of things, yeah, you guys, the defense looked great. I think one of the things that Jesse Minter kind of checked off the box was that he, was a former defensive guy in the John Harbaugh system, but the defensive mindset for the Ravens and what historically has been what the Ravens have been known for as a franchise had gotten lost. So I think for Jesse Minter, him being young, him fitting all the boxes of what he can do to help guys from an X's and O's standpoint, and kind of speak with and speak to the modern day player as far as relationships. That was something that really, I think, piqued this organization's interest. And then obviously, what do you do with a generational talent in the likes of Lamar Jackson? And, I clearly Lamar wasn't as Steve Bisciotti said, he was like, listen, I have all the power. I'll get all the decisions, but I have all the power. He sounded like a consigliere, like, okay, listen, you give me a name and I'll go ahead and I'll make the final decision. So he did. And I think that's where, it is with Minter being the next Ravens head coach.
What are the thoughts and feelings around the offensive coordinator hire? Obviously, Declan Doyle coming from Chicago, and then before that with the Broncos, so working with both a little bit of Bo Nix. He was a tight ends coach there, but what he was able to do alongside Ben Johnson with Caleb Williams. First-time play calling, though, and but has a good quarterback to be able to kind of, I think, lure it aside. But what are the thoughts and feelings on Declan Doyle?
Yeah, so Declan, he's going to have some shoes to fill in. I think that Todd Monken, when he was tasked to do in the 3 years he was here was to help elevate this Ravens offense. He did. Obviously, they didn't get to the promised land, but so be it. He's here as a 29-year-old, now going to be calling the plays during the game, but the preparation and the work that he did with Ben Johnson, the work that he did with Caleb Williams throughout the week leading up to the games, the game planning is, I think, a very good game plan and a good offense that will more than complement what Lamar Jackson can do. I think one of the things that Jesse Minter tasked Declan with doing was, look, I want a guy that can help Lamar stay on schedule, have a game plan in that regards, and then ultimately, be able to foster a plan that can utilize the talents of Lamar Jackson with his legs and or the second act of the play, which is extending the play and doing what no other quarterback in football can do. So he has some tall, big task orders to fill, if you will. I know that there are some question marks as far as who's going to be the skill guys that are going to be surrounding Lamar. What's the offensive line going to be like? Dwayne Ledford, who was a run game guru, if you will, an offensive line coach down in Atlanta. He comes in as well. So, it's Declan Doyle, but he's going to have a good, strong staff. Faulkner comes in from Pittsburgh, longtime Pittsburgh running back coach. So there's a staff that is going to be filling in. And I don't think it's just like, oh, Declan Doyle, what do you know? No, I think they all are going to know. They all are going to work together to put together a proper game plan that is going to feature, the greatest quarterback in football.
Definitely got some big shoes to fill, no doubt about it, but it sounds like you're pretty excited about that, Kadri. Back to the Super Bowl real quick. When you look at the Seattle Seahawks, and I look at a guy like Rashid Shaheed, who, what a great pickup for midway through the season. I think of, and maybe it's an easy one because he returns kicks and whatnot. Could he be the X factor? But who's a name maybe you're looking for out of these two teams that might jump out that doesn't play QB, and maybe somebody we're not expecting that out of this Sunday?
Boy, I think it's interesting because Gonzalez for the Patriots, and honestly, I mean, he's their guy as far as Jackson Smith and Jigba, so it's not like, oh gosh, Kadri, state the obvious. No, I am stating the obvious because he's that good. And I love the receiver corner matchups. Especially when it comes to the big game, because that critical third down, that red zone route, what is it going to look like? Who's going to win? And I think for the Clint Kubiak, who I'm sure his heart is in Vegas, but his mind and his legacy is like, wait a minute now, if I'm going to bring home a championship, we're going to hoist up this Lombardi mother of pearl. Is going to make me look pretty good when I'm sitting in front of that Vegas roster and talking to this Raiders team and like, look, we're going to, bring back and wake up the echoes of years past of the Raiders franchise. So I think for Clint, it's about game planning and it's about Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'd be curious to see how that's going to all unfold. I love the way they get him involved in the offense. I think he's one of those guys where you need a play, you look to him, he makes the play, end of discussion.
There you have it. Well, it should be a lot of fun on Sunday. Where will you be watching the game, Kadri?
You know what? I have some adult children now, so before it was like, all right, guys, y'all going to have the Super Bowl party. We're going to do this. Now it's like, hey, so guys, Dad is thinking about bringing over some food. Who wants to host the party?
I love it. What kind of food?
So I am a stickler for something healthy. And so I'm going to go to the local farm, get some chicken wings that I know at least they're not all full of the nastiness. And I'm going to probably cook those suckers up myself. Then there's a bakery here in town called Baltall's Bakery. They do an amazing job with their bread, no seed oils. So I'm going to probably get a couple of pies from them. And who knows, maybe I'll get some non-seed oil brand of some beef tallow chips and have at it.
That sounds delicious. I'm sure they all want you to come over with all that stuff. No doubt. Hey, Kadri, we wrap up here. We're about the same age. I actually played against you in college, but I remember when it was Rocket and it was the Missile, and you guys were the talk of college football. How's your brother Rocket doing? I know you got another brother too. How's Rocket doing these days?
Yeah. He's doing really well. I think, it's so funny because he has, if there was ever a holy mother of pearl moment of living off of the ultimate franchises, you got Notre Dame and you got the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. You can throw in the Raiders as well. So, and he works with the NFL Legends community as well. He's one of their directors. So, I mean, he's always traveling. He's going to be out at the Super Bowl, and I'm sure he's going to be, representing, doing something with somebody, and hey, being the Rocket. So, and I'm not hating. I'm loving on that, but it's just so funny. Like I'm proud of him, and I'm proud to say that he's my brother.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, Kaji. Well, enjoy the Super Bowl and your family, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
That is a very healthy. Like when I think healthy, I think
I was like, I don't even know the words he was saying.
no seed oil.
All his kids are like,
beef tallow. Yeah, exactly. All right, more to do on the other side, including the golden moment. Keep it right here. Helmets and Heels, 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Get the goods on Gainesville 24/7. Search 1010XL Gators on YouTube.
When you're a little kid on the playground, they tell you don't hit back. Well, the courtroom isn't a playground. And if you've suffered an injury or death in your family, I'm here to tell you it's okay to hit back and fight to make them pay. I'm attorney Brett Hastings, and at Hastings Injury Law, we understand all the pain and emotion that comes with being wrong. And we've dedicated our lives to making things right for people like you. So if you get hit back with Hastings Injury Law. Offices, Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Fought for you by Green Law Group on 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here from my bank, South State Bank. South State has been committed to delivering world-class customer service that businesses like yours and mine can count on. From personalized support to cutting-edge banking solutions, South State Bank has blended the trusted traditions we all value with the innovation you need for tomorrow. Whether you're managing cash flow or investing in growth, South State Bank is here to help you move forward. Visit southstatebank.com or visit your local branch today. That's South State, member FDIC.
Be the first to discover the best new home community in beautiful Green Cove Springs. Highland Trail, where the rhythm of life slows down. Enjoy green spaces, luxury pools, pickleball courts, winding trails, and more at livehighlandtrail.com. Choose from 3 premium builders, just starting in the 300s.
Oh, at Highland Trail.
Staying active no matter your age is key to living life at its fullest. Rebound Rehabilitation wants you to know they can get you back up to speed and back in the game pain-free. Rebound Rehabilitation with a dozen locations across the First Coast with top-of-the-line therapists ready to assist you. Neck and back pain, hip, knee, or foot pain, they can help. Excellent patient care combined with the highest quality and rehabilitation services. Look for a Rebound Rehab location near you and get back in the game. ReboundRehab.com.
Give a unique gift this Valentine's Day to that special person in your life with a custom-made candle or body care product from Wick, a candle bar. Locations in San Marco and Jax Beach.
Jacksonville is the flip side of Florida. And inside the flip side, the action never stops. If you're tired of hearing about the best games after the final whistle, don't get left on the sidelines. Whether it's a unique sporting event you've never seen, a weekend with the family, or a winning date night, Visit Jacksonville is your ultimate playbook. Get in the game. Head to visitjacksonville.com/locals or download the Visit Jax app today and see everything coming in 2026. Jacksonville. Experience the flip side.
If you're listening to 1010 and you're a parent, chances are your kids are playing sports. Check out i9sports.com with spring and summer registration open right now. In the gym or on the field, and now at Tocoi Creek High School and Westside Middle. Check it out, i9sports.com.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, why is it that when you look at how long a store has been in business, that it always seems to be the stores like Underwood's that sell fine quality that have been around the longest?
Frank, that's a question that really doesn't get asked a lot, but it should be. There are a number of reasons, but probably the biggest is because of the endorsements our longtime customers and their pieces of jewelry have given us through the years. You see, when you sell really fine quality jewelry, that piece will last longer and always stay beautiful. It might stay in the same family for generations. And through those years of wear, a lot of compliments will be made and a lot of people will be told where the piece of jewelry came from. You see, at a store like Underwood's, it's our stated goal to be the best jeweler in the South, not the biggest. So everything we do and carry has to help move us toward that goal. And ultimately, it's the satisfied customers wearing fine quality jewelry that have kept Underwood's in Jacksonville since 1928.
Underwood's in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
All right, wrapping up some of the thoughts from today when it comes to this roster building in the NFL. Just like college football, we haven't quite solved how to build a Super Bowl team, but just looking at the different ways that teams do it is interesting. So if you missed it earlier, the largest drafted percentage of starters on in the NFL right now. The 49ers with 74% of their starters, Packers with 74, Eagles with 73, Bills with 65, and the Chargers with 61. And then if we bounce over and just look at the lowest when it comes to that, the lowest in the NFL is the Raiders, which I don't think people would be surprised by that.
They're
the Commanders
number 1 overall?
and the Dolphins are the bottom three of drafted players on that are starting for those rosters right now. And so if you look at the Jags, and going back to one little note, Tommy, where I asked you about what you think about why it feels like the offensive starters feel more important for drafted. And a lot of these, like if you look at every playoff team, most of them, the offensive starters, they have more drafted than their defensive. And so I think what it might be is I saw this note, the center, the offensive tackle, and the guard are the highest hitted position rate in the draft at 92% for centers, 59% for offensive tackles, and 50% of guards. So I think the offensive line probably is taking a large portion of those drafted starters and those guys usually start for a while too.
It also could be money. It's a lot harder to get free agents as far as wide receivers and left tackles or right tackles, right? Like those guys are really, or like a tight end in free agency that's a super productive tight end, super expensive.
Yeah, and they are the hit on, the wide receiver and tight end are the two least hit on position groups, and the draft at only 33% and 27%. So that was just one interesting note. But when you look at the Jags for this, so obviously included in the playoff team, they're almost completely even. For the drafted players, starters, it's 50%. They had 6 offensive starters that they drafted and 5 defensive, and then it flopped on the other way. 5 offensive that they picked up through, obviously, Jacoby Myers midseason, and then the offseason with the offensive linemen, and then defensively, it was 6 players that they had not drafted. So 50% even when it comes to those starters, and then 49% for their roster as a whole. Now, when you look at the Jags, and this is when it gets tricky, we can't go and do this with every single roster. But with us, you can kind of be like, okay, well, if you look at is a Monheim or a Milam or a Bashal Tutin starting next year, and then all of a sudden that's another starter that you have very quickly in that. When you look on the other side, a Travis Hunter, a Jarian, a Ventrell, if any of those guys, then you get, more starter guys that you've drafted into that too. So it kind of depends. This could quickly shift to another 2 or 3 players on each side of the ball, or who knows what we're doing in free agency. But right now you don't have a ton of money, so I don't know if you're looking at that. You're probably looking at continuing to develop some of these guys and then more draft players playing roles. And so it could be a team where you are in those 60s and the 60% next year pretty easily.
Well, you look at the the drafted guys on both sides of the line of scrimmage. I mean, think about it. So P. Wash, great pick. He's been a great pick. Brenton, been a great pick. Brian Thomas, waiting to see if he, gets back to form.
All 3 running backs were drafted.
All 3 running backs were drafted, not by us or by Kurt, but still by the organization.
The interesting part is moving forward. Anton Harrison. Moving forward, how does this shift 3 years from now, 4 years from now, when James Gladstone has been here a much longer period of time and we have a bigger sample size and it's much more his roster, then how does it look in comparison to those other teams?
Right. And look.
And how much are his drafted and still some of Balky's drafted? Like, when do those start to mesh? Because obviously you'll have Trevor still, who's a Balky. There's going to be several guys on this roster that, Josh Hines-Allen, some of those guys that you'd expect to still be here. So how much of the roster in 3 to 5 years is a Gladstone and how much is still Balky?
And the caveat is if you hit on that draft pick, like just because they become your starter, what if they don't? You could take Walker Little. We drafted him, and not to hit, bang on Walker, but it's not like he turned out to be what you thought he was going to be. Not as bad as he probably gets talked about, but not as good as where everyone thought.
But he skews things too because he got the second contract. So some teams would, if you're just looking at numbers, you're saying, well, he gets factored into you hit on that draft pick because he got a second contract.
Fair.
But we also don't know if this regime would have given that second contract. Probably not. And we still have guys on this roster from Dave Caldwell. From even before Trent Baalke. So
And that's what, with this, to your point, Tommy, you can look at, because I separated it between playoff teams and then the worst teams. So to that point, 74% of the Niners starting roster has been drafted. That means they've hit on a lot of their players, and that's led them to the postseason. Right. You have other team right now, let's say the Saints. The Saints, over 64% of their starters are drafted, and the Saints are one of the worst teams in the NFL. So that also kind of determines how well you've drafted in this last few years also.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the teams that are in the playoffs and looking how they built their teams and figuring out a way how I need to build my team.
I think at the end of the day, regardless of how it's constructed, you have to have more players on your team, going back to college football, more players on your team that other teams in the NFL would want to have start on their teams. And I don't think this Jaguars roster, as much as we opine that the Jaguars could have been in the Super Bowl because the Jaguars seem very similar to the Patriots in a lot of ways, but at the same time, there are probably not as many players on this Jaguars roster for 2025 that every other team or the majority of other teams would want to pluck off of
but
it.
you're not going through, like, we could make a whole list of the 49ers that we would take right now.
Or the Seahawks.
The Seahawks,
there are guys on the Patriots roster
Rams,
too.
Those teams,
The Patriots don't have the quote-unquote sexy weapons offensively, and I think that's why everyone is skewing more towards the Seahawks and the tougher schedule, and obviously look at the conference the Seahawks play in and how battle-tested they are through the postseason. Like, there's a lot of reasons, but I won't be shocked if the Patriots somehow, some way win the Super Bowl.
I'd take a bar more in those defensive tackles in the middle.
Oh my gosh, and Milton.
I mean, if the Patriots are able to run the ball and the Seahawks are able to keep the ball away from those weapons for the Seahawks, we shall see. All right, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, I you know how I feel about it. I think the Pats are gonna give them a good run for their money, and look, it's gonna be done by a clean game by Drake May if he does that. And you're going to have to pound the rock. And it looks, who's more battle tested in the playoffs? I would say the New England Patriots. The three teams that they had to beat to get there wasn't pretty, but it's still getting it done. That shows you got a lot of merit. You got a lot of, oomph to you. Like, you can battle through the tough times. And even their quarterback, being a young guy, like, his legs saved him. I mean, Drake May's legs saved the New England Patriots in their quest to get to the Super Bowl based on how he started running and using those legs.
If the Patriots had to beat the Broncos with Bo Nix, then I'd probably feel stronger about their postseason. But because they got to play a Texans team and C.J. Stroud, who was just giving the ball away, and then play the Broncos without Bo.
And look, both of those games, Texans and Broncos, were weather games. They weren't the best conditions. So, you do have to factor that in.
And the Seahawks beat the Rams.
But I will say, up front, they won those matches. And even though you didn't have Bo, you still had one of the best O-lines in the game. You still had one of the best defensive lines in the game as well. Yeah. So I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah, I understand. Looking forward to it once again coming up on Sunday evening. Pest of the day on the other side. Keep it right here. Helmets and Heels, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
This is Helmets and Heels. Fought for you by Green Law Group on 1010XL. Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care, Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergencies.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Hurry and receive a free hair and scalp examination and get 2 weeks of laser treatments for free. Call IHRS at 904-777-4477. Hairforme.com.
Welcome to Key Buick GMC, proudly family-owned and operated since 1943. Come see why they're North Florida's new and pre-owned truck center, conveniently located on Southside and JTB, just minutes from the St. John's Town Center. At Key Buick GMC, every new vehicle comes with our lifetime powertrain warranty. Key Buick GMC, we are professional grade. Online at keybuickgmc.com. Lifetime powertrain warranty covers engine, transmission, drivetrain only. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When pests invade your home or business, you don't just need them out fast. You need them out as fast as possible, and you need to keep them out. When pest issues arise at my house, I know Terminix will be there quickly, and I trust that their technicians will eliminate all of those pests. They'll do the same for you because they care about what matters most to you and your family. When pests show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a pest problem. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule your free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm that has experience and capabilities to handle any legal issue a business is confronted with. Learn more about what they can do for you at jimersonfirm.com.
This is the home of the Florida Gators. Get your Gators hoops on 1010XL. Brought to you by the personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah, Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville, and Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors.
Now here is my love. Newsflash, gang. Valentine's Day is coming, so guys, you gotta get with the program. And let's think outside the candy box. It's the Big Orange Chorus. They're back. You know the deal. The guys come out, they serenade your girl. 2 songs, a rose, a large Hershey's kiss, a greeting card, a photo with the group. All you got to do is call 355-SING or go to BigOrangeChorus.com. That's BigOrangeChorus.com. Virtual Valentine's also available, but order today at BigOrangeChorus.com.
Checkmate. I'm Brendan Cecilia, founder of Checkmate Coatings.
And I'm Chester, company mascot at your service.
There are 2 important steps to installing the perfect garage floor. The 2-stage coating application, sure, but nothing is more important than preparing the floor. Our team uses diamond grinding machines to grind your floors to a smooth, level finish. Only then can we...
Hold on! You grind garage floors with perfectly lovely diamonds?
No, Chester. We grind floors to perfection using the very best ugly diamonds. Too ugly for jewelry, but perfect for the grinding pads we use to prep the surface.
Perfect preparation and application. Now that's a perfect marriage.
Ugly diamonds?
Check. Perfect preparation?
Check. Smooth, gorgeous, gleaming floors that really catch your eye? Checkmate!
Transforming your floors, making them great. Checkmate.
Visit checkmatecoatings.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
Time now for today's Terminix Pest of the Day is always brought to you by our friends at Terminix. You can find them online, TERMINIX.com. They take care of Everbank Stadium, ViStar Ballpark, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, and all of your favorite event venues around town because they do such a great job, as well as at our house, and you can trust every one of their technicians. So the pest of the day, the Alpine Ski World Cup in Crans, Montana, Switzerland. Y'all will know what I'm talking about when I tell you that they had really bad conditions, poor visibility, and that is the event where Lindsey Vonn ruptured her ACL, but she wasn't the only one to crash. Also, Austria's Nina Ortlieb and Norway's Marte Monsen also could not navigate the course. They shouldn't have even had the event because of the poor conditions. And then Lindsey Vonn would be heading into the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, with an ACL that's intact. Yeah. Granted, she's a tough girl, as tough as it gets. And at 41, despite the ruptured ACL, she will still be competing as long as she says her knee can be stable in a brace. But
that is insane,
they shouldn't have even held it is insane. But they shouldn't have even had that downhill event because of the issues.
She had the meniscus too. I saw. I did both of those. It's painful. You know, it's weird. Like some people can play with it. You know, now that's
right. We saw the Bills receiver Shavers. He finished the game on a torn ACL against the Jags. Or at least
I guess if you make it tight enough, I don't know, that force of, the turns, and I don't know how she's going to do it. Give her credit for trying, man, but what a shame to go down in that kind of condition and tear the ACL.
Literally days before the Olympics begin in Milan. By the way, on a completely different note, this is not the pest. Have y'all seen the Netflix show Miracle? The story?
I have not watched it, but it's been popping up.
Okay,
so I feel like
The
I
Boys
need to
of
watch it.
1980. Yeah. Watched it last night. Cried through parts of it. And I remember, I've seen Miracle on Ice somewhat recently, so I remember parts of it, but still learned a lot. I highly recommend it. It's fantastic.
Jack O'Callahan lives here in Jacksonville. He's a really cool dude. Yeah,
I've never met him, but I knew that he lived here.
And then I got to meet Eruzione up in Massachusetts.
Cool. He's very much featured on this.
Oh yeah, little hockey player, but cool, man. That was great. I was 10 years old. I mean, that was just unbelievable. And it was all because back then it was like Russia's bad, Russia's bad. And then
the Cold War,
all
and
that
also what I had kind of forgotten, and I wasn't alive yet, but the country was in turmoil. The United States was in turmoil. in that time frame too, and so this was able to bring everything together, and it was the first time, as far as they could remember, that the USA chant was ever done. Oh, wow. Yeah, exactly. USA. So very cool, and obviously Al Michaels in it as well, since he was the play-by-play broadcaster. Let's say hello to another broadcaster.
Now, the 2-minute drill is driven by nobody but Nimnicht. Nimnicht Chevrolet on Cassett Avenue and Nimnicht Buick GMC on Phillips Highway.
Hayes Carline joins us now as Tom McManus is swearing he did not break the microphone that is broken in the studio. But now he has no microphone for us to do anything other than tease him. Hayes.
My money would be on Prosser. Just saying.
Hayes, did y'all break the microphone yesterday?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
But you never know. You know.
What happens
Frank
on the Frangie shows?
Quite wily. So.
Crazy in here.
Yeah.
In the afternoon.
You never know.
Yeah, I was just telling them I watched Miracle last night.
Oh, great. Isn't it great?
So fantastic.
Yeah.
And I definitely cried multiple times.
Yeah, it's amazing the stories with their families respectively, and it was really, really well done. It's an hour and 40 minutes, flies by.
It does. When it got to the end, I was like, wait, there's not like another 30 minutes or so, an hour? Like there's more to tell the story. And I almost was sad, and this isn't spoiling anything, but when the guys are filing out of the arena, it's like they don't know that they're going to come back there all together once again.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they go through at the end with the pay respects to the ones that haven't survived to 2026. And I was surprised it's only 3 players.
Yeah, right.
And then obviously Herb Brooks died, over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But
I think it was 3.
It's a phenomenal documentary. It'll definitely get you fired up for the Winter Olympics.
Absolutely. What y'all got coming up?
Yeah, well, Brett Hastings will be in to do sports and courts. Obviously, a lot going on legally in the world of college athletics. So, we'll get Brett's thoughts on that, and we'll talk some Jags and Gators hoops. Should be a lot of fun coming up on the Frangie Show.
As the world turns when it comes to college football and the legal side of things.
That's right.
Just earlier, Tom was like, temporary restraining order? What are we doing?
It's crazy. But,
It really is.
Aguilar looking for his 8th year. So we'll see if he gets it.
Exactly. By the way, did you listen to John Summerall's press conference today?
Yeah.
Night and day different than Billy Napier.
I would not be surprised if John Summerall's IQ is 80 points higher than Billy Napier's.
I would not be either.
I would honestly not be surprised if you told me that. You can just tell. And really, Faulkner and White, I thought, were impressive, too. And credit Florida, because it was like an hour and 20 minutes total of press conferences. But, I thought Summerall was outstanding. We'll certainly get into a lot of that coming up as well.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Hayes. All right, that'll do it for us today. Tom, do you have any parting words?
Get some wine tonight and enjoy your night. That's what I'm going to do.
Wine Down Wednesday.
That's right.
You heard it here first. For Taylor Dahl, Tom McManus, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. The Frangie Show is next.